Borrowing costs have been going up for all of us, including the government. So-called gilt yields, the interest rate investors demand to lend the government, have been soaring in recent weeks. Look, the state now pays more to borrow than during the aftermath of Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng's mini-budget last September. But here we are, OK? Does this now mean that Liz Truss's efforts to cut tax and boost growth weren't actually that stupid after all? Frankly, was Liz right? Here's our economics and business editor, Liam Halligan, with On the Money. Liam, there was this perception, wasn't there, that with Jeremy Hunt, the adults were in the room now and that everything would be nice and Mr Sensible and potentially, Jeremy from accounts was a great thing. And actually, it's not been great, has it?
Well, after that Liz Truss, Kwasi Kwarteng mini-budget back in September, people started hearing about these things called gilt markets. Oh, my God, what are they? Well, that's where the government borrows. And, our government's borrowing 10, 20 billion quid a month. So they're quite important to running the economy. And after Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, you'll remember, Patrick, they tried to introduce tax cuts. Yeah. They tried to spend a bit less. They tried to, in Liz Truss's words, the then Prime Minister, be a bit more conservative than the Conservatives have been up until that point. And borrowing costs went through the roof. The financial markets went, no, we don't like this. And then Rishi Sunak and Jeremy from accounts came in and the gilt yields went back down again. Well, what we've got now, Patrick, we've got Jeremy Hunt and Rishi Sunak's higher taxes. We've got their more kind of sensible policies, if you like, not going for growth, high tax, high spending, and yet gilt yields, borrowing costs are higher than they were under Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng. So a lot of people are now saying, was Liz Truss really so stupid? Did she really wreck the economy? Or are interest rates going up around the world anyway? Which, of course, they were. And there is now, this is putting some real potency in the Tory debate on tax cuts. You've got a lot of Tories coming out and saying, look, we really need to do some tax cuts if we're going to have any chance of winning this election. You've got other Tories like the peer Ed Vaizey from the sort of left of the party. He's now saying there are big chunks of my party who are, quotes, completely insane for asking for tax cuts. So this is where we are. And Liz Truss is taking up... Look, she's not going to come back and be Prime Minister, but she is a rallying point for a lot of Conservative backbenchers. And on Wednesday morning, she's launching what she's called her Growth Commission. She's got economists from around the world, mainly UK, but American economists, Japanese economists, who want to promote this kind of high growth, low tax agenda. And they're going to be doing reports for her and banging the drum for her vision of conservatism.
Look, is it time for radical economic change?
I wouldn't go around sacking the Governor of the Bank of England at this point. I think that would cause... And no one has been more critical of him for longer than me. Almost no one's been calling for interest rate rises earlier than me or criticising quantitative easing, all that central bank money printing. But I think if you now, did major surgery and took out the Governor of the Bank of England, there'd be a constitutional crisis because you're not really meant to.
Right.
But also I think the market would sense panic. Interest rates would go up even more. Mortgage holders, people with personal loans would suffer even more. I wouldn't do that. What I would do, Patrick, is I would start to prepare the ground for a bit less spending and a bit less tax, because the tax burden now is at a 70-year high, tax as a share of our GDP. And I don't think in the end this high tax model is going to win the Tories any votes at the next election. If people want high tax, high spend, they can vote Labour. Yeah. But a lot of the country doesn't. Instinctively, a lot of the country doesn't. That's why, for years and years and years, most of the time we've had a Conservative government. People don't like paying tax. No. They don't mind paying their fair share. But when you've got all this fiscal drag, when, as we've often discussed, you've got, middle-ranking teachers, police officers, nurses paying the top rate of tax because of fiscal drag, people start to get, to coin a technical term, Patrick, a bit cheesed off. A bit cheesed off, indeed. Liam, look, thank you very, very much, my good man, Liam Halligan there. Of course, our economics and business editor. I am sensing, and let me know in the inbox now, gbviews@gbnews.com. There was a prolonged period of chaos in the Conservative Party with the whole passing of Boris Johnson, if you want to call it that, and then Liz Truss's installation, and then we had that mini-budget, and everyone was going around saying, oh, this is absolutely bonkers, what's happening here?
And then it seemed, didn't it, for a period of time, well, Jeremy's in now. Jeremy will steady the ship. And you really look at it and you think, have we just allowed ourselves to be carried along on this kind of river of status quo that actually has made us all poorer and has absolutely no vision whatsoever?